Shalom. This is Abik, back with some more edification. I recently looked at my subscribers, and I've gained subscribers since the last time I checked. I want to give out a special thank you to my 112th subscriber, as well as my 111th subscriber, my 110th subscriber, and my 109th subscriber, and my 108th subscriber, and my 107th subscriber. All right. I wish all of my subscribers great health, high spirits. I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and in good health and taking the proper precautions against these agendas that are waged against us here in America behind enemy lines. Now, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, and I don't like so-called blacks. I don't like so-called blacks because of their culture. Their culture's trash. It's so-called blacks culture consists of white Jesus, who was a false god, religion, which is another falsehood, because religion was imposed on so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians by Edomites, so-called whites. And so-called black culture is mainly false gods, falsehood, genocide. They love to promote killing each other. So-called black culture consists of drugs, alcohol, celebrating being black, and violence and criminal activity. Right? Salakia. I wanted to touch on a few things today. The first thing I wanted to touch on is wisdom. Is wisdom. Wisdom is my wife. Wisdom is my wife. And this is Proverbs 2:6-9. For the Lord giveth wisdom. Out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. Okay? He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment and preserveth the way of his saints. Okay? Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. Without wisdom and understanding, I will be a fool. So I take my time to learn and to understand the truth so that I can discern truth continuously throughout my path. I do my best to uplift and edify my brothers that are coming into this truth along my journey. And what I find is a lot of brothers are, I'm going to say the brothers that I come into contact with are struggling with carnality, the ways of the world. One of the ways of the world that I find that recently I spoke to a brother about, one of the ways that these brothers are struggling with is just being carnal, or just being weak and not conquering the flesh. And then they lack the ability to separate from the woman, the carnal woman, right? So single motherhood is an achievement for the modern day Western woman. The modern day Western woman, she seems to uplift and uphold being a single mother. Now I'm gonna talk about the men that are carnal and the carnal woman. So, if you will, if you're listening, allow me to have a carnal conversation. Okay, this is carnal. Okay, the carnal man in the West is a weak man that lacks wisdom and understanding, and he finds himself falling victim to the carnal woman. Now, this is Genesis 3, all right? And it touches on the woman falling victim to the serpent's beguile, okay? But what he does is, the serpent, is he makes a promise to the woman. This is Genesis 3 and 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. Okay, so let's stop right there. The Western woman, she thinks she's wise. All right? Her position in the West has been given to her by the serpent. Okay? By the serpent, not by the Most High, but by the serpent. The serpent is inferior to the man, to the men of the Most High, the men of Yahweh. The woman is inferior to the men of Yahweh. So the serpent and the woman is inferior, and the serpent chooses to tear down the men of God through the woman. As long as men are upright and have their spirit in check, the man cannot be used as a wrecking ball for destroying the black family, the so-called black, or the Israelite family, right? Now this is so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians that I'm speaking of. But so-called black woman she's my tribe, but she's a problem, and she's being used like she's the strongest soldier in the so-called Edomites, or the so-called whites, which are the Edomites' army of destroying the black family. She's being incentivized to destroy the black family. So in Genesis 3, it talks about the woman being made a promise by the serpent. Man is not being made a promise by the serpent. All right? And for the record, women will never be leaders. Women are not leaders. Okay? The only thing that women lead in is single motherhood. And they're failing at that, because not every Western woman can afford to be a single mother. You have poor single mothers attempting to be a single mother because they saw a woman that can afford to be a single mother be a single mother. Okay? So, in Genesis 3 and 6, the woman, she saw that the tree, which was the serpent, was a man. She saw that what he was saying, his words, were pleasant and desirable. His philosophies made her think she was wise. Okay? Like a lot of Western women over here in America believe that they're making wise decisions to do away with the man, the father of the child. And the Western woman thinks and believes that she's wise by not keeping the laws and the statutes and commandments of the Most High. So she's leading herself. Women are leaders of themselves over here in the West. They no longer want to be led by the laws or the men. Okay? That's why I say women are not leaders. The only thing they lead is themselves in the West today when they refuse to keep the commandments. Now, and they're failing at that. Can you believe that women in the West think that a single mother can do a better job in raising children than a man and a woman that are keeping the values and the statutes and the laws and the commandments of the Most High? Can you believe that? The women in the West, they lead in failing to be women. They lead in failing to be feminine. Okay? Women's femininity is conditional based on a man's wealth. So women are born with sexual value, but the men have to earn their sexual value, and the women measure a man based on his wealth. A woman in the West refuses to allow a man to be the head of a household unless he's paying the cost to be the head of a household, right? Women in the West do not have a natural respect for the men, right? And a good mother to a child is only a mother that loves the father of the child, right? A woman that does not love the father of the child will do a terrible job in raising that child to love the father, okay? A man that's not there because maybe his assignment took him beyond the household is not a good reason to not like the father or love the father, or for a child to resent the father. That's not a good reason. My father was married to my mother until I became around 40, 41 or something like that. But he was not always there, but that was not a good reason for me not to love him, okay? That was not a good reason, all right? Now, Genesis 3:6, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, okay? We're not talking about food, we're talking about words and philosophies, understanding. And gave also unto her husband with her. Now, modern day Western men that support single motherhood or find themselves being fathers only when they support single motherhood are some of the biggest fools walking around Babylon today, walking around so-called America today. These are some of the biggest fools and idiots and simps and suckers. These are some of the nicest men. And nice means stupid, foolish, unaware, ignorant. Okay? By definition. If someone says you look nice today, and you take that word out of context, you're going to take it as a compliment. When you really look foolish today, according to the definition of nice. Okay? So when it says, and gave also unto her husband with her, these are some of your Western men that accept single motherhood, that accept a woman that doesn't want to be with him and takes his child and puts him on child support, steals his identity, and commits fraud with his information without his consent. And then he finds himself contributing to her household on top of being obligated to pay child support. And then he has to go through her to see his child, or go out his way to see his child, or finds himself going outside of his way to contribute to her household, to contribute to her being a single mother. Okay, these are some of the nicest men out here, some of the most foolish men out here. Okay, single motherhood is an achievement, is an accomplishment, because the so-called black community that doesn't exist, it only consists of women and the church and this false god, white Jesus. Job 14:1 says, a child born of a woman, his days are full of trouble and short. Okay, I'm just paraphrasing. Okay, because in Genesis 3:6, because she gave also unto her husband with her. These are the men that are not keeping the commandments, and they're dealing with a woman that chose to leave their leadership, and she no longer desires this man, and he's contributing to a woman and her household, contributing to a woman and her household that doesn't want to be with him. Western women refuse to put a man that they allow to live with her and dwell with her, they refuse to put a man on the lease if he's not paying the cost. Okay? A man is only measured by his assets and his wealth over in the West, not his spiritual fortune. Okay? By these Western women. Western culture's trash, just like so-called black culture's trash. Because so-called blacks get their culture from so-called whites. Have you ever heard that white people have raised black people? Black people's culture is trash, right? These children always put things on their mamas. The so-called black woman has contributed to children believing they come from women when they come from the scrotum and the penis of a man. Okay? The women come from men. Okay? Genesis 3:6. And he did eat. And he did eat. The man started to let go of the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh, and he started to go along with the woman and her philosophies outside of keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. Genesis 3:5. For God does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods. And you shall be as gods. Okay, that's the single mother and her leading herself. Okay, putting herself first. Okay. Putting herself first. Okay. Trying to reconfigure the algorithm that the Most High placed on woman's nature. All right. The men over in the West need to man up. They need to man up and stop being led by women. This whole single mother and baby daddy thing has become the new so-called black community. Okay? Why are men going along to get along with these women just to be a father? Outside of keeping the commandments and outside of our traditional place. Because of the woman. The woman has created this single mother society because she refuses to serve her purpose, which her purpose is man. All right? Man is not of woman, but woman of man. Okay? The woman is of the man. Okay? Woman's purpose is man. Okay? That's how this goes. But this single mother thing has taken flight because the Edomites, the so-called whites, incentivize women. There's programs that are for single mothers. The mother and the child is considered the family. No man included. Okay? No man included. So the men have to realize and take heed to the attack that single motherhood brings on fatherhood. The number one reason that children resent their father is because they're not there. They're not there. Well, me personally, I went to the military. And my child's mother decided not to follow my lead. And my child tried to accuse me of not being there. And like I told my child, I'm not supposed to be where your mother is. Your mother's supposed to be where I'm at. And a lot of these women are on programs like Section 8 where a man can't dwell there. They can't be put on a lease, not unless she's married. And there's too many children that are in America, too many so-called black children that are in America that resents their father for not being there with the mother. And then you know what? The single mother, what she does is she makes the child contribute to her household, which that's her husband's job if she can get one. It's not a child's job to help a mother be a single mother. You hear it in the rap songs where the rappers say their mama was struggling, so the child decided to sell drugs to help their mother be a single mother. That's not a child's job. But these women, because they're leading themselves, they're bad influences to the children because single mothers raise single mothers. And single mothers raise criminals and boys. All right? I think it was like over 70% of the men in prison come from single mother households. And boys need their fathers to teach them leadership. Women don't teach leadership. They're not leaders. Women will never be leaders. Women can't even serve their purpose and be feminine and go somewhere to learn to be a wife so they can be chosen as a wife. So let me explain. If there was a school with classrooms and there was a classroom for women to learn how to be a wife, there was a classroom for women to learn how to date, there was a classroom for women to learn how to be friends with a man, there was a classroom for women to learn how to be a soulmate. The classroom for soulmates, friends, and dating doesn't lead to women becoming wives. And it doesn't require women to put in any work. So when it comes to dating, dating is low-key prostitution and escorting, right? Dating is easier and preferred by women because not only does a man have to sell himself, but it puts a woman in a false position of power in the West, right? Dating in the West for women allows them to not put in the necessary and required work to be a wife. It puts them in a false position of power. Okay? Western women taught men how to purchase sex in exchange for money, transactional, and Western women have taught men how to be baby daddies. Okay? And I refuse to learn this lesson. A woman is not about to teach me how to be a baby daddy. Okay? And the Western women taught men how to date. And all of it is transactional. Everything that I said requires a man to take his currency and to use his currency in exchange for femininity, affection, or just sex. Okay? And all of this is what the Western woman rather do instead of go to school, going back to that little school that let's imagine there was a school with these classrooms in it, and the school and the classroom for wives would be empty. It may be a few women here and there that will go learn how to be a wife. When a woman gets with a man that is a husband, her applying what she learned is easy. But the work that the Western woman refuses to put in is going to learn how to be a wife. Because women have to be taught how to be a wife, they have to be taught how to love their husbands, and they have to be taught how to love children. None of these things come natural to a woman. A woman is not born knowing how to love a man, knowing how to love children, and knowing how to be a wife. Okay, so let's not give women this, this A plus, right? This A plus grade, thinking that she's born with all of these abilities. No, women are just born with sexual value. Okay, sexual value. And to be honest, Western women, the only thing they bring to the table is sex and their image. So when men are looking at a woman, the first thing that he's looking at is her beauty and whether she's attractive or not. It's not about her education and stuff like that. Okay? Women objectify themselves sexually because that's all they got. That's all they got. And I'm tired of black women advertising their beauty and their sex. I'm sick and tired of black women advertising their sex. So-called black, Latino, Native Indian women advertising their sex. I'm tired of the sex being advertised. All right? Women are unlawful when it comes to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Women are unlawful. The Western woman values are trash. The only type of let me show you. The only type of men that go after these women in the West are these type of men. I was born in 1980, and I'm sure all of my subscribers are not biblical or biblically inclined. All right? But drop a comment or drop a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know if you understand who Pappy LePew is. All right? Now look at what Wikipedia says about Pappy LePew, okay? All right. It says, although initially a feature character with his own series of shorts, Pappy has drawn increasing criticism as treating the harassment of clearly unwilling women as a subjects of humor. The women in his films often flee in fear of him, and his behavior is seen as a form of stalking and implied sexual assault. Okay? Pappy LePew was a pervert. See that? Pappy LePew is an animated character from the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies series of cartoons introduced in 1945, depicted as a French anthropomorphic striped skunk. Pepe is consistently on the quest for love and in pursuit of romance, but typically his skunk odor causes other characters to run away from him. Pepe was a pervert. All right? Now, remember, I'm having a carnal conversation right now. All right, with my viewers and with my subscribers. I'm purposely having a carnal conversation because Western culture is not biblical. Okay? The so-called white man is not biblical. Isaac told Esau that he will rule with the sword. Okay? He didn't tell Esau that you shall rule in heaven and that you shall rule with Yahweh and the angels will be on your side. Esau was supposed to, the so-called white man was supposed to rule, was supposed to serve his younger brother Jacob. But since the blessing was, see, Esau sold his blessing at first, and then he wept when he didn't receive a blessing. Okay, he sold his birthright, but then he wept when he didn't receive a blessing from Isaac when he was dying. If it wasn't for Isaac telling Esau that he was going to bless him after he went to retrieve some venison so he could make him some stew, Esau would have never desired his birthright after he sold it initially to Jacob. Isaac's first blessing didn't say anything about no sword. When he explained the first time, when he thought he was talking to Esau the first time, the second time that he passed out the blessing, he said, "You're going to rule with the sword." That's why the so-called white man's rulership is wicked, and it's not based on the Bible. The Most High Yahweh never said that Esau was supposed to keep the commandments. There's no talk of the so-called white man in the Bible having to keep the commandments. Esau is going to be destroyed ultimately for what he did against his brother Jacob. Not for not keeping the laws and statutes and commandments. Esau is not going to be destroyed for not keeping the commandments. He's going to be destroyed for what he did to his brother Jacob. Okay, in the Bible. When you read Obadiah. Okay? Esau's going to be turned into stubble, not for not keeping the commandments and the laws, but for what he did to Jacob, ultimately. The so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. Okay. That's what he's ultimately going to be destroyed for. So, Pepe Le Pew is a pervert, right? The Western woman is trash according to her value system and her culture because she's leading herself. Choosing to be a single mother is a foolish idea, right? It's not this many men that are out here. Now, when it comes to the laws of the Bible, a man can have multiple wives. When it comes to the Western woman, monogamy is a problem for the man because men are not naturally monogamous. All right? Men desire multiple women. All right? And it's best for a man to find himself with a woman that respects and obeys his permissions so that he doesn't have to find himself with a woman that chooses to leave a man because he chooses to exercise having multiple wives. All right? So the Western woman is trash, okay? Her values are trash, okay? She has a false position of power that was given to her by the serpent, the so-called white man. It's the devil. All right? She chooses to have abortions. All right? Every woman is not being taken advantage of by unwanted sex and becoming pregnant. Women in the West only have sex. That's why it's easy to profit off of a Western woman if you're the so-called white man, because only thing the Western man has to do is give a woman a place to exercise her sex. OnlyFans, porn, prostitution, escorting, dating, single motherhood, all of it. It gives a woman an easy way out. Okay? The classroom for wives will not be filled because women do not want to put in the work to learn how to be a wife. That's the Western woman. Men choosing to deal with women that don't want to be with them is the problem. Western women have the capability of having sex with men that they don't want to be with. Western women have children by men all the time that they don't want to be with. Western women decides to take the children when they decide to leave a relationship from a man that they don't want to be with, right? Western women think that they are in control of leaving a relationship. When it comes to dating, women are in a false position of power, and the men are going along with this position that the women figured out that they can put themselves in because men desire to be with a woman. So when we say, well, it needs the Most High needs to hit the reset button and we need a new group of women that's not going to put a price on being with them, or they're not going to measure a man by his wealth. So women are putting themselves in positions of transactions rather than learning to be a wife and to find themselves with a husband. Women love the transaction. That's why women are making men pay for intimacy. Women are making a man pay to be in a position as the head of the household or a position of leadership. A man has to pay a woman to follow him, to follow his lead. Whether it's in the form of bills, it's all transactional, right? The Western woman chose to be transactional and turn her back on her purpose, on her divine purpose. And that's the Western woman. Her values are trash. Okay? Her values are trash. And the only men that are choosing these women are carnal men, fornicators, perverts, and foolish men. These are the only men that are taking these women serious or choosing to go along with her choice and not wanting to be with him and not loving him. A good mother is only considered good if she loves the father of her child or the children. A single mother that's paying bills and making all the purchases that's necessary, it doesn't make her a good mother, because she has to do those things anyway. She don't get no brownie points for doing the things that she's supposed to be doing anyway, that she's gonna be doing anyway. Okay? Now, I think I've made my point, okay? Because I'm tired of so-called black culture, tired of so-called black people. Their children are killing each other left and right. The so-called single mothers' children are killing each other, killing children of other single mothers left and right. And you would think it's over by now, but so-called black women, they have more children than black men. So-called black women have more children than so-called black men. So-called black people have been given reparations in the form of programs by the so-called whites. Programs and activities to celebrate being so-called black. The so-called whites, which are the Edomites of the Bible, spend more money towards Israelites being black rather than to give so-called blacks resources to be an independent nation. It costs, so-called whites spend a lot of money to keep so-called blacks poor. When the money for being so-called black needs to be cut off and put towards black people's, so-called black people's progress, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians' progress. If so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians unsubscribe from this false God Jesus and this falsehood religion that constantly recolonizes the minds and molest the spirits, that constantly molest the spirit of the so-called black, Latinos, and Native Indians. If they unsubscribe from these falsehoods and these false gods, then they would consider using the funding from the so-called whites for progress, separation as a nation, a separate nation that can sit at the global table, right? Western men need to man up, keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and to keep yourself first, because you are first. Stop supporting single motherhood. Stop supporting a woman that doesn't want to be with you and does not love you. Okay? Stop learning how to be a baby daddy. Stop contributing to a woman that is not traditional. My mother wasn't a single mother, and I wasn't taught to support single motherhood. I don't give a damn if a woman does have my child. I'm not contributing to a woman's household that doesn't want to be with me and that doesn't love me. Because it's not my fault that a woman chooses not to keep her portion of the statutes and commandments. It's not my fault that a woman chooses to be her own leader and to support and contribute to a false position of power that was given to her by so-called whites. Yahweh did not create woman to be a single mother. He created her to be a wife and a helpmeet. The Western woman, she doesn't even want to be on child support. She refuses to contribute to a single fatherhood. Imagine if the tables was turned and women were forced to contribute to single fatherhood financially. These Western women are trash. They're bums. They're deadbeat mothers. And again, I'm not talking about all women, so don't jump on this video identifying with all women if you're a woman. I'm not talking to you. I don't like how I can't stand how when men are addressing the problem, women come and say, "Well, that's not all women." Okay, then why are you worried about it then? We're not talking about you. Stop defending these women that ain't shit because they don't like you. These women that are the problem do not like you women that are not the problem. They do not like you either. So why is it always, well, not all women? And then when we start talking about the women, they're like, well, what about the men? We're not talking about the men. We're talking about the problem. And men are not being paid to destroy their families. Nothing that men say about women is a lie. Name one thing that men say about the Western woman that's a lie. Put that in the comment section. Name one thing that men say about the Western woman that's a lie. These Western women are unattractive. They're undesired for wives. They're unfit to be wives. What makes them unfit is because they don't keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Instead, they have a Western value system that is destructive to having a family. Women in the West can't even prevent being a single mother. And they have all types of ways to not end up a single mother. And they can't even prevent themselves from being single mothers. They can't even stop having sex. Because that's all they bring to the table is sex. Like I said, the men in the West, they're the ones that need to stop supporting single motherhood and stop supporting and contributing stop contributing to women that refuse to learn how to be a wife. There would be no dating if the men didn't support it. There would be no friendships if women didn't support it. And there's no such thing as a soulmate, because that's just something that a woman refuses to. That makes it easier for a woman not to have to put in the work to be a wife. They go put in the work to learn how to be a wife, and then they apply that. A lot of these women are bums in the West. A lot of these women in the West are broke. They don't have no money. They ain't got nothing to contribute. These women are bums. When you start to measure them by their money, they're broke. All right? Women in the West are broke. All right? Unless they're, going to put in that work. All right? All women over here are not making six figures. All of these women in the West are not feminine. All right? The West, if you're looking for wives in the West, this is not the place. Just like in Coming to America, he should have stayed in the West. Stayed in the East. He come to the West, and he came over here and he met some baby mamas. All the way he left with some baby mamas. When over there in the East, he had a virgin for a wife. All right? Came over here and ran into these women that we dealing with, and they're trash. And he couldn't even choose a better woman. He couldn't even come over here and choose a virgin. He chose a woman that wasn't a virgin. So, wisdom goes back to wisdom. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment, and preserveth the way of his saints. And judging is correction. The definition of judgment is correction. Okay? In the West, women and men don't want to be judged, which they're saying they don't want to be corrected. Don't judge me. Don't correct me. That's what they're saying. Don't correct me. Don't correct me. Right? Ain't that something? For someone not to want to be corrected. Don't correct me. Let me continue in my wrongdoing. Don't correct me. See, they're using things out of context. They're using words out of context over here in the West. And when anyone puts things in the proper context, the mind starts to change and the eyes start to view the world and individuals correctly. But right now, the West is using words out of context. So most individuals are not seeing the world in its proper context and having conversations in its proper context, right? The Most High the Most High, he says that only his people are only those that keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? That's why judgment comes and death comes to these Israelites that don't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So I just wanted to, just post this for edification's sake. And again, I hope I wish all my subscribers high spirits and great health. To you and your loved ones, I want to thank all 112 of my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to my channel. My channel's for edification and information. I'm gonna start doing some of these lessons on some of these articles that I have from a historical standpoint, and to continue to post these vids and this content to those that are followers to my channel. I want to thank my 112th subscriber as much as my 111th subscriber. I want to send a special thanks to you and the 110th subscriber, and 109th subscriber, the 108th subscriber, the 107th subscriber. I want to send a special thanks to all my subscribers. You know what I'm saying? This place is waxing worse, talking about America. A lot of these corporations and businesses are shutting down. All right? When the merchants of the world flee America, America's going to be weeping. Okay? The judgment for the so-called white race is going to be the destruction of their rulership. All right? That's what's going to happen over here. The closer that the Hebrews get to securing the 144,000, and the judgment against the so-called white race is going to be the destruction of their rulership. If anyone wonders why the so-called white race has gone this long without being judged for what they've done to the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, is because their judgment is going to be the destruction of their rulership for what they've done to the children of Jacob. That's what's coming to this place. So yeah, judgment is overdue, but it's like a RICO charge. You know what I'm saying? The Most High is going to build up all these charges against Esau, and then he's going to come down on him stronger than the feds come down on RICO cases. And the Most High has a 100% conviction rate. He's undefeated, right? Nobody can escape the judgment of Yahweh. Okay? Nobody. And once anyone learns the ways of Yahweh, they'll understand the judgment that's coming to this place. And then, you know what I'm saying? But that's what's coming to this place. It's about time that it's about time that women have been, put on the examination table to examine their ways and see how they're being used as a wrecking ball for the families, and being incentivized to tear down the families, right? And the men need to step away from these women, walk away from this Western woman, abandon her. The Western woman is unfit to be a wife. They don't want to put that work in, which is to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to be a wife. They don't want to go to class and have perfect attendance. All of these women over here in the West starts off with an F. If they're going to get an A, they're going to earn that A, right? You can barely find a virgin over here, and according to the law, statutes, and commandments, when you measure these women with the laws, they don't measure up. That's what makes them unfit. But with these women in the West, they constantly lead themselves today. They chose to lead themselves, so that means that they have a false position of power. They think they can choose to bring life or choose to kill children with abortions. Okay? They think they can choose to be a wife or choose to leave a man. You know what I'm saying? That's a false sense of power. Women who choose to leave men is like having a resume with all these gaps in their employment, and they chose to quit every job they've had. And women in the West, they believe it's a righteous choice to want to leave men and break up families. It goes to show that women were not supposed to have those types of decisions. or choices to make. The man is a relationship. The woman, she brings her sex and her femininity and her insight and stuff, right? A woman does not have a relationship without a man. But what's happening here is the woman's supposed to put herself in a position to be a wife, and then she's supposed to allow herself to be chosen by a man as a wife. But the women in the West, they're making the choice of not being a wife and not wanting to learn how to be a wife. And then they have a false sense of power with men choosing, or 1 minute. Women believe that they can choose whether or not, they think they can choose the man or not, right? But they're not, the men have fallen off their position and their purpose. Letting a woman choose them rather than not allowing a woman to be chosen if she's not a wife. See, so the women have instituted a false flag situation, and the men are the only reason that the women have this false position. It's the men that are supporting this false position that women are in. So that's why it's best for the men to abandon the Western woman. All right, stop dealing with her. Stop entertaining these Western women if they're not already a wife. If they don't want to learn how to be a wife, stop entertaining these Western women. They're gonna take you to. They're gonna use your information without your consent and go down to child support. They're going to have sex with you without wanting to be with you. They're going to leave you. All right? These Western women are some quitters. They love to quit, like quitting a job. They love to quit. And they're going to blame you as the man for the relationship not working out. That's what they're going to tell the children too, your children, right? These are the women that are the problem. All right. I'm not talking about all women. So, you know, if you're a woman and you're listening to this, and you're a good woman and righteous woman, I'm not talking to you. So shut up, step to the side, and stop defending these women that are a fucking problem. I'm not talking to you. I can't stand women that identify with all women. All these women don't like you anyway. Women that are a problem do not like you righteous women, so you righteous women step to the side. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking about you. All men don't identify with each other. Look, so I don't identify with all men. So enough of this. I think I made my point. Hope, you know, I pray there's some men out there who understand what I'm saying, and some sisters out there that see the difference. And like I said, I want to thank all my subscribers. I wish all my subscribers are doing well and in high health and in high spirits and good health, and you and your loved ones as well. And I wish that all my subscribers are taking heed to these agendas that are waged against us in America. All right? And with that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next one.